Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 16. Just as promised, today we will get started on building our construction hub. It will take at least one more video to finish completely, but we will manage to get most of the important work done today. The biggest hurdle is of course the roads leading to the different buildings, so that's what we will mostly occupy ourselves with in this outing. Of course, we will manage to build some of the structures too, but they will be secondary. But that's not the only thing we need to deal with. We will also need to make sure the refinery is well supplied, which means we will need to keep expanding the pump jacks to keep the levels in the crude oil storage high. Apart from that, we will also manage to take fuel off the list of imports completely today, which will be a big boost to our finances. Before we get started, if this is not your first video from this channel, you already know what to expect. If you want to be kept up to date, please consider subscribing, and if you like what you see, leaving a like will also help letting me know what to focus on. But enough talking, let's get into it. Same as always, we start the day by checking on the progress of our research efforts. Now that we have a lot of the essentials taken care of, it is less important to monitor the universities so closely. As for the refinery, our output tanks are slowly building up, which means we have the capacity to export more. Since this is the primary source of income right now, we really need to take advantage of it by adding more trucks to the lines. Also, that's a big traffic jam at the border. Not much we can do about it apart from modding, but that would be a temporary fix to a temporary problem, so let's just wait it out. Trains shouldn't be too far away anyways. Here, I decided to take care of the roads as best I can. Some of them are still not upgraded to asphalt, so we needed to add some service connections to take care of it. Sadly, the driveways will have to remain gravel. We cannot afford to disrupt the flow of garbage to the incinerator. Right now, the only construction building we have access to is the open storage. That's the only one we will really have time to fully take advantage of today, but since those materials are some of the ones we need the most of, it will help lower the traffic at the border quite a bit. Anyways, now that the border is a lot calmer, the export trucks managed to arrive and refuel, so it was time to add them to the relevant lines. And speaking of lines, how about we name them properly? We still have a couple that are using the auto-generated names. At first, I did name the new ones backwards, but we'll discover this error in a little bit, and give them the proper designation. As for the farm fire station, it is no longer needed, so it was time to demolish it. It's only taking up space and maintenance. Speaking of maintenance, it seems the farm is undergoing renovations. Now, to be completely safe from fires, we need to buy one more helicopter. This kind of investment will pretty much guarantee that we will need to take out another loan soon, but that's a small price to pay for some peace of mind. This is where I noticed the wrong names on the lines. As per usual, the line type should come first, and the delivered goods go second. That should make list organization a bit easier to comprehend. And we might as well name the passenger lines too. Maybe we should redirect the prisoner transport towards some other industry. The clothes are doing okay, so maybe the food factory could use them better. We are getting close to running out of money, so it's time for a new loan. We are dancing on the knife's edge right now, but I can assure you, if we stopped constructions altogether, and allowed our finances some rest, we would be on an upward trajectory. With constructions active, we are pretty much on the level. Anyways, speaking of constructions and finances, maybe we should pace ourselves with those pump jacks. Instead of doing it all at once, we should do it in stages, and stop when we reach some kind of equilibrium with the production and consumption. We still have some room to export more fuel and bitumen, but let's give the trucks some time to settle into the new schedule. As for the fuel distribution, let's take care of that now. We only have a single office under construction now, and we really need at least 2, maybe 3. And we might as well upgrade these dirt roads to asphalt too. It will slow down the office construction, but oh well, it needs to be done one day either way. And we had the first food shortage message of the day. Don't worry, we already have the distribution set up in a way that will import some food if there is none left in the domestic production warehouse, so these momentary outages are not going to be fatal, they just cost a bit of money. And I just managed to accidentally sever connection between the technical services and the garbage incinerator. Good thing I was aware of this mechanic, and quickly reconnected them. If I didn't know any better, this could have been a fatal error. Oh, right, this train station needs a road to be built. It seems I forgot to set the range on one of the demolition offices, and they couldn't reach the farm fire station. Now they should be okay. And it seems that momentary connection outage at the garbage collection services ended up causing a bit of chaos, and all the trucks are out. They should settle down after a while. As for this intersection, maybe they need a bit of extra attention. Before you ask, no, I do not think it's a good idea to merge them into one. To use them properly, they should be kept separate. Merging them would pretty much negate the benefit of the slip lanes. Basically, the central intersection will operate as normal, while the slip lane nodes will give priority to the traffic going through the main roads, and ask the vehicles coming in through the slip lanes to give way. If we merge them all into a single intersection, we wouldn't be able to do that. I think it's time to start upgrading some of these roads too. The problem is the power poles, they are blocking the construction of service connections. But if we can't go through that way, we can just use some other place to keep things going. Just behind the clothing warehouse should do fine for this. Alright, we have everything sorted I think. We can start upgrading the main road, at least until the bus stop. This does prevent workers from accessing one of the clothing factories, but we have two, so it should be okay. Now we just check the garbage depots to see if they lost connection to the incinerator, and since they didn't, we can move on safe in the knowledge that they will keep working. Also, most of them were still out on collecting refuse, so I decided to just fill up all the parking spots. The crude oil output is struggling. Let's see if the 2 new ones will help in any way. And the open storage is finished. But, before we can make use of it, it needs to know what to store and how much, and we also need to sort out the infrastructure that will keep it stocked with the materials. For that, we will of course need a distribution office. Preferably the bigger version. Maybe we can place it here, just next to the fire station. I contemplated placing it at the border, but it's already quite a busy area, so for now, it will be right at home here. Later, once the border sheds all those free offices, maybe we can build another one there, and repurpose this one for the town goods distribution. With the high pressure pipes researched, it's time to move on to the steel cables for the best high voltage line, as well as the possibility of using cable cars in the future. And at last, the fuel distribution storage is done. We can add it to the line doing the exporting, telling the trucks to unload as much as they can there first, before moving on to the border to sell the rest. It will take a couple trips to fully fill up that storage tank, but it will be well worth the effort. To pass the time, let's do a little bit of decorating. The police station is a bit barren, since it can't fit proper trees in the courtyard. To hide the Z-level fighting for the textures, let's fill it up with some foliage. I'm still not quite sure what to do with this side of the cinema. For now, I just placed a couple flower beds, and will return to it at a later date. At last, the fuel distribution office is complete. We can start adding all the buildings we have assigned in the old one, and once they are fully synchronized, we can send the trucks over to their new home. Need to find one more. Going through the old office's list of buildings should reveal what's missing. Ah, it's the town gas station. The list is complete, we can rehouse the trucks now. And this means we just completely eliminated all fuel imports from the Republic. Not only that, we are also selling the stuff, so we not only eliminated our most costly import, we turned it into a money maker. We might as well fill up the new office with oil trucks completely, no point only having 3 of them. And it seems the road upgrades on this side are done. We can remove the service connections. Good. No major death spikes since the year began. We will get a small one a little bit later, but we are well on our way to having a stable population now. And while looking at the teachers at the school, most of them had 60% loyalty, so I decided to up the required threshold, and test it if we can afford to do so. The oil reserves are still struggling at the refinery. Time to build more of the pump jacks. Four more for now. We have 2 more in reserve, and if even those aren't enough, we can still build more, since this oil field has some untapped deposits still. Great, we have another house done, and we have a couple unhoused adults. After checking the walkability, we can throw the doors open for new tenants to move in. That took a couple seconds, but we have people moving in. That last immigrant invitation did pay off in the end. Next, how about we deal with this place now? While I didn't get around to building the prefab apartment blocks today, we should still get the place ready for them. It seemed no matter what, the medical university will block any footpath we try to place here. A bit of a shame, but oh well, it's not the end of the world. To speed up the road construction, we can add some more service connections for these. The fuel distribution storage is full at last. The exporting can resume. Since we have one house filling up already, it was time to get started on the next one in line. I suspect we will need that one soon. And looking at the walkability, it seems it's already in range of everything important, including the bus station. Great, the steel cables are done. We can move on to the high voltage power pylons. Looking at our loans, we are almost back to the allowance we had at the start of the episode, and we still have 200,000 in the bank. It will take a while to fully repay all these, but we are well on our way. And it seems the school can manage getting teachers, even with the 60% loyalty requirement. For now, I just use that for this facility. The universities can keep using the 55% setting. As for the long-term trend of loyalty, let's take a look at some graphs. Oh yeah. Ever since we increased the teacher and professor requirements, we had a pretty visible increase in the graph trajectory. Since we were on autopilot by this point, I decided to take a look at this school sports park. They look a bit ugly with simple packed dirt around them. Let's build up a fence, and then see if we can make them look nicer. Well, it's a bit fiddly, but we got there in the end. Next, we fill up the area with nice and fresh looking grass, and then we can start worrying about the trees and bushes. I didn't know how to deal with that corner piece, but now that I'm looking at it with fresh eyes, I think the circular piece will go there perfectly. I just need to keep it in mind. It all looks a lot nicer already, and we don't even have any trees yet. And looking at the pop statistics, we just had another tiny death spike, but it was really small, barely reaching 40 overall. Easily offset by the natural replenishment rate. As for the refinery, it seems the bitumen export trucks managed to catch up to the production at this point. Since the fuel and bitumen aren't being produced at a 1-to-1 ratio, I did consider reassigning some of the trucks to the fuel line, but we have some pump jacks under construction, so maybe we will do that later, once things settle down. Anyways, the distribution office for the construction hub is finished. Let's buy the trucks, and then start filling things up. 2 covered hull trucks is more than enough for the components. Same goes for the dry bulk ones, 2 will be enough to keep the cement silo stocked. As for dumpers, we need more of those, at least 4 for now. Maybe more if we can't keep up with the demand. Same goes for the open hull trucks. Since we only have room for 4, that's what we bought. We might need to build another office, but we might be able to cope until the railroad can take over these deliveries. Once that happens, these vehicles can just deliver to the railroad construction office instead. Since we only had the open storage done, let's just add it, and wait for some of the materials to arrive before we tell the construction offices to start using that instead. I wasn't really sure what kind of foliage to use around these sports fields. For now, I just placed a couple tall poplars, but this place definitely needs more attention. I don't think we can really deal with building foreign connections right now, they would be a very big investment. Let's just do hotels for now. We have all 4 materials present in the storage. We might as well tell the offices to switch over from the customs house. Here, I misinterpreted a truck's turning direction, and thought they stopped using the slip lanes. After that, I focused too much on the info window, and didn't see them still using the lanes just fine. We can change the signs back to normal in the next episode. And here, I decided to clean up the oil field dirt roads. Of course, we will need to put them back later for maintenance, but I do agree that they are not really laid out nicely, so let's get rid of them for now, and build them back in a more logical fashion a bit later. We just need to keep the ones going to the unfinished buildings for now. Obviously, fire safety can be handled by the helicopters. Well, since we only have a couple more things to build, we might as well just get them out of the way. For the sake of garbage deliveries, I think we should give priority to the directions between the town and the industries. Everyone else can wait their turn. And I think that's where we will leave things for today. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the state of things. We did some progress on the construction hub, our finances are improving, and best of all, we managed to go a full episode without any major death spikes, and our houses are filling up with young adults so much that we need to build new apartments just to accommodate them all. Very good problems to have. In the next episode, we will definitely need to focus on finishing the construction hub, and maybe even start thinking about getting started on the railroad at last. The next town will be further down the main river, and thanks to the distances involved, we will absolutely need to rely on trains to handle it in a timely fashion. And let's not forget about the new houses. We still have some prefab blocks to build in that new neighborhood we built. I would love to have some tall ones, so we can give the city a bit of a skyline. Anyways, if you haven't done it already, I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel, and leaving a like would also let me know that this video was worth making. If you feel that it was good enough, and you can afford it, please consider going to my Ko-fi page, which you can find in the description, and donate an amount that you feel is appropriate. And if you did like what you've seen, there should be links to some of my other videos and playlists on the screen. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you in the next one.